Peter, it's great to have you back on the podcast. We did our first chat during last year's lockdown in COVID, and
We did.
yeah, so it's been a lot of interesting things happened since then. We've had lots of conversations, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I just want to say to you, thanks for coming back on to have this second chat. We got so much good feedback and so many people commenting and talking and taking really key points from what you said in the first interview that I thought would be great to have a second follow-up chat from that.
Yeah, no, fantastic. I really appreciate not only the follow-up, but our first chat was a really important catalyst for me. And I've said this to a number of people. It was, a lot of thoughts running around my mind for sort of 18 months up until I'd been diagnosed and then beyond that. And it was the first opportunity I had, other than sitting with family, friends, whatever it might be, to just get all my thoughts out in one hit. So it was really critical for me. And it's kind of given me a path since then, and a bit of a purpose and it's just really evolved. It's probably, similar to what you've found, that I haven't gone seeking this stuff, but it's naturally evolved. And it's really just, homemade stuff where I'm talking about resilience and I'm talking about coping. And I've got a YouTube channel going now. So we post every week. That's a lot of fun. Again, it's stuff I'd never conceive of doing. So it's a fascinating journey for me. It really is. And again, I just, want to reiterate and thank you for that initial podcast we did, because that's where it all started. I'm very grateful for that.
Great. Well, no, I appreciate it, mate. But it was also, great for me to have that opportunity to chat to you. And I think, like you're saying, with you, that sort of being a bit of a catalyst for you to then go on and do all the things you're doing now. And, one of them that I'm fortunate enough to be, part of, that we'll talk about with this program that we're developing. Yeah. But I think what was really compelling about the chat is the fact that because you are talking about lived experience and what you're going through, you're able to word it in very palatable, relatable terms. And I think that's what people really relate, take a lot out of that, because they can then directly apply it to whatever issue they're having in their life. That's what I found really powerful about it. And I think you've got a good ability to do that.
That's good feedback. I appreciate that, because I like the word authentic. You put a script in front of me and I'd mumble and I'd be hopeless with the script. But all I need to do is get that sort of thought process going and get it out. And it seems to be working really well. I'm getting people coming back, and just the people who are liking it that I haven't seen for 5, 10, 15 years. And the comments I'm getting, they're inspiring. I didn't set out to inspire anyone, but kind of, we're all going through bullshit in our life, aren't we, especially at the moment. And
mm-hmm.
And if my style is such that we can pare things back a little bit, make them a bit simpler, and then relatable, as you said before, then I think that's that's something I haven't really thought about setting out to achieve, but it seems that's where it's hitting a note. So it's great.
Exactly. I think it's one of the many byproducts of what you're doing, which is really, really important and really powerful. So I mean, anyone who's listened to the first episode will know your story, but in case people didn't hear that, are you able to give just a quick abbreviated story, so a minute or 2 minutes, just covering
sure.
Your story and how this came about?
So look, I mean, so I diagnosed sort of informally late 2019, formally early 2020 with motor neuron disease. Hindsight tells me that sort of the symptoms have been bubbling away for a little while. Certainly I'd lost some, not a significant amount, but my arms were my problem. Just lifting them up the head and those sorts of issues, bit of weakness here and there. It was about an 18-month process of getting diagnosed, which is challenging in itself, because you haven't got a diagnosis. You're waiting for, the experts to tell you what it is. And there's always this thing sitting in the background, which it might be, but, you're holding your breath, hoping for the best, that it's not that. But, here we are. So it's a fascinating journey. The importance of having purpose. I've got purpose in my life at the moment. I reckon my ability to cope is because I've found something in talking about it, and it achieves 2 or 3 things. It gets it off my chest. I don't sit and worry and wallow in self-pity about it all. It's given me a purpose to continue to think about this and continue to think about how my message can get out there and who I can help and those sorts of things. And it's funny, mate, when I'm sure you'd be well aware of this with your journey, that you take that purpose away from me and I don't know what I'd be doing, and I don't know how well I'd be coping. But I've got a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I'm keep on striving to find that pot of gold. And so that having that purpose is really, really important to me right now.
Yeah, totally. And I think, that is what stems from a lot of these conversations, isn't it? Being in that, talking about and looking at ways, how can we help other people? How can we drill down into these different areas, and having that purpose? It's a really powerful thing. And I think that is a big part of, what you're doing, what I'm trying to do with this podcast and other work is, how can we not tell people a formula, because there's no formula, but more educate people. How can you learn to, I guess, be more vulnerable, talk more openly about things, look into yourself, find what really means something to you, like what you said about that pot of gold analogy, instead of being on that treadmill and, looking forward to, trying to find happiness from all these other things. It's like taking that step back and thinking, hang on, like, what is it that I really care about? How do I want to spend each day of my life? I think looking at, the process, am I enjoying the process of what I'm doing? Is that meaningful to me? Because if it's not, then you might need to evaluate things.
Yeah. And you mentioned the treadmill. It's, I'm off the treadmill now. Well, I suppose I've got a different treadmill. It's a funny shaped treadmill now. But I go back to sort of who's, who I'm again very indirectly connecting with through the work that I'm doing and the podcasts and vlogs and everything. And we're all on a treadmill, aren't we? We're all, and it's trying to find, I don't know, happiness in that on that treadmill. And we all probably, an analogy I sort of, you look at people who are living the dream. They're a top 10 golfer, or they're whatever, a tennis player and whatever, and you think that they don't work, and what can be the problem there, what possible challenges that they're facing, but they got their own, so this so-called utopian world of, having a dream existence, it doesn't exist. And we're all on some form of treadmill, and that brings, individual challenges to everyone, I think. So, and that's something I've been able to get my head around. I've sort of, got my own understanding of how to not live your life on a treadmill without purpose and without goals and without objectives and that sort of stuff. So it's been not that my life was terrible beforehand or anything else, but this has just given me such a different perspective on life and what's important. Yeah,
for sure. And it often takes something, extreme to pull us in that direction. For me, it was, I was off the rails and struggling with, depression, anxiety, getting in very public incidents. And I had to really look at myself because it got to that point, that breaking point of, if I don't change it, what something bad's going to happen here. So looking within yourself to find that, but a lot of people don't have that. And like you're saying, inversely, the people that do, achieve on extreme levels, that's not the solution either. That's great to do that. But I was listening to Michael Phelps do an interview as part of the Olympics the other day, and I watched, it was like a 20-minute interview, and I just found it fascinating because he was talking about, the most decorated Olympian in history, one of the biggest athletes we're ever going to see. And he was suicidal. He contemplated suicide at one point, and he talks about it. And he talks about how so many athletes, they reach this pinnacle and then it's momentary. You get this elation, and then it's like, hang on, what's my purpose now? Okay, I've won the goal. I've peaked in my whole life. So he's like, you achieve it, then you're like, what do I do? And a lot of them have no identity after. They don't know where to put their time. And sadly, the suicide rates are much higher in those areas. So it's like, it's an ironic thing that these people we often think have what we all want sometimes end up being the most distressed. So it's like, it's a crazy thing.
Yeah, and for us, for us to be immortal, it's hard for us to get a head around that, isn't it? Because
it's crazy,
they are living the dream. But the dream's a nightmare, in many circumstances, isn't it?
Well, and I think it's reframing what is the dream. I think we've been taught the wrong dream. I think the dream should be to find balance in life, and to be able to find joy in just the simple things in life, and find that meaning and purpose, and enjoy the process. And I like one of the big things that came out of that first chat that I still literally think of at least a couple of times a week. It's been one of the ones I now use in my own mental toolkit, that I know you still talk about, was how you talk about the train track analogy. I just think it's so simple and so powerful.
It is.
It's helped, I think it's helped me a lot. that one.
Yeah. I stress so much less because of that, because of the use of that analogy. If it's important, chuck it in there, deal with it. If it's not important, well, just wave goodbye as you whiz past on the train.
Yeah, exactly. Not focusing on the things that we can't control, which I guess people can use for, for anything that you're going through, and you can use it for COVID. What can we control? Absolutely. What can't we control? Yeah,
absolutely.